Yes, coming to the definition of the pediatrics. So here the word pediatrics, it means the healer of the children. So which is derived from the Greek words, that is pias, which means the child, and iatros means the doctor or a healer. So pediatrics, it is a branch of medicine that deals with the medical care of the infants, children and the adolescents. So in contrary to the definition of the pediatrics, so if we look into the definition of the Kaumara Bhritya, so which is beautifully told by Acharya Shushruta, that is Kaumara Bhrityam Nama Kumara Bharanam Dhatri Kshira Dosha Samshodhanartham Dushta Stanya Graha Samuthanam Cha Vyadinam Upashamanartham. So here it is the branch or it is the Tantra, so which deals with the Kumara Bharana, that is the nutrition as well as the support or the maintenance of the Kumara. So Kumara is the one who is considered as up to the 16 years of age. So the nourishment, the maintenance and the support of the Kumara, it comes under the Kaumara Bhritya. Next is the Dhatri. So here the Dhatri plays a very important role as told by Acharya Kashyapa, that is Sukham Dukham hi balana Dhatri Moolam Asamshayam. So whatever the Sukha and the Dukha experienced by the Kumara, so it is dependent upon the Dhatri itself. Next is the Kshira Dosha Samshodhana. So we know that Acharya has classified the age as the Kshira Pavastha, Kshira Annada and Annada Avastha. So in the Kshira Pavastha, as the baby will be totally dependent upon the Kshira for its nutrition. So here in the cases of the Kshira Dosha or the vitiation of the breast milk, so then it could lead to various diseases in the children. So that is why the assessment of this Kshira Dushti as well as its treatment is very much important. Next is the Dushta Stanya Graha Samuthanam Cha Vyadhina. So here the diseases which are seen due to the consumption of this Dushta Kshira or the Dushta Stanya, and the diseases which are originated by the Graha Rogas. So as a whole, and various other diseases which are seen in the children's, and its Upashamana, that is the treatment of all such diseases which are seen in the children's. So it covers under the Kaumara Bhritya. And also the Chakrapane has commented as Kaumara Bhrityamiti Kumarana Bhrutihi Dharanam Poshanam Cha Tassedamiti Kaumara Bhrityam. That is, so it is the Tantra, so which deals with the or which is given much more importance to the Kumarana, that is Kumara Bhrutihi. So Bhrutihi again it is considered as the Bharana or the Poshana. Dharana is again the maintenance or the support to the child, and the Poshana is the complete nourishment to the child. So this Kaumara Bhritya Tantra, it includes all this in the healthy development of an individual. So next, as I told that, so there was very much advancement in the technology. So with this advancements, that is late in the 20th century, so we can see there is declining of this infant mortality rate. So with these advancements, so especially in the children's who are of under 5-year age, so there is drastic reduction in the mortality as well as morbidity, so which has led to the success of this modern pediatrics. And we can see about 29.9 children, so who are having the mortality under 5 year of age group. So as we consider the 1000 live births, so among 1000 live births, so around 29.9 or it is approximately 30 children are dying at the age below 5 years of age. And among that, so 45.1% babies are dying during their neonatal period, and 54.9% children are dying in the ages from 1 month to 59 months. And also the most important concern in in today's era is, so we have some of the chronic diseases which are seen in the children. So this could be due to the improper lifestyle or due to many of the genetic or the chromosomal causes. So which has led the child's life into a where we can see that the development of the child has been hampered or it has been hindered because of the underlying chronic diseases. And also they are suffering from many of the neurobehavioral or neuropsychological disorders. So these are growing at an alarming rate. So this is the most concern as per the pediatrics is concerned. So next is coming to the importance of Kaumar Vritya. So where the Kaumar Vritya can act. So as highlighted by Acharya Kashyapa, so Kaumar Vrityam Ashtanam Tantranam Adyam Uchyate. So Acharya Kashyapa has given the prime importance to the Kaumara Vritya and he has placed the Kaumara Vritya at the topmost position. As he says, or he gives the simile as Ayurvedasya Mahato Devanam Iva Havyapaha. So as like the Agni Devata being given much more importance among the all Devatas. So similarly, Kaumara Vritya has been given the importance among the Ashtangas. And also Acharya highlights that Anena hi samvardite itare chikitsanti. That is the individual who grows with the help of this samvarditam. So which grows and develops with the Kaumara Vritya Tantra, then comes the role of the other angas of the Ayurveda. So because Balasya Rudyam Aushadam Anya Pramanam Anya Upakrama Anya cha Visheshaha. So this is because the importance is, so because the child, we cannot compare it with the adult there. We cannot consider the child as the small adult or the mini adult. And also the drug and dosage what we use in the children's is different, and the type of drug what we are using in the children's and the treatment what we are adopting in the children's is different as compared to the adults. So some of the considerations in the Kaumara Vritya. That is, we cannot consider the child as a mini adult or a miniature adult because dosha dushya malaschaiva mahatam vyadhyaschaye ta eva balana matra twalpatara mata. So as like the adults, the dosha, dushya as well as mala, so will be present in the child, and also the diseases as well as the management will be similar to that of an adult, but the matra or the quantity will be different here. So it should be a small matra or the alpa matra has to be adopted. So because we have to consider the alpakayata, the paratantrata of the child, aparipakva dhatu of the child, sukumarata, asampurna bala, klesha asaha, sleshma dhatu praya. So this we have to keep in our mind. So before we are treating or we are approaching any child, so we should keep all this in mind. Next is the purpose of treatment, which is highlighted in Kashyapa Samhita. So Acharya Kashyapa tells that, so the purpose of treatment as avyahata sharira ayur abhivardate vakatam ityartam bheshajam proktam vikaranam cha shantai. So along with treating that particular disease, so this treatment what we are adopting, so it should not interfere or it should not disrupt the normal growth and development of the child. So thus a physician or a pediatrician should keep in mind that is the various milestones of the growth and development, including the psychological growth of the child, and we should see that we are providing the optimum nourishment to all the growing tissues and prevent the child becoming the victim of various diseases. So that should be our aim while we are treating any child. So next coming to the scope of the Kaumara Vritya. So here Acharya Harita has highlighted, or he has given the definition of Kaumara Vritya as Garbhopakrama Vijnanam Sutikopakrama Sthata Balanam Roga Shamani Kriya Bala Chikitsitam. So here the care of the child, it should begin with the formation of the zygote, that is not after the birth. So the care of the child should begin before the baby is born. as Banigold sir was highlighting regarding the Supraja. So if we want to get the Supraja, the care should begin before the formation of the zygote itself. And many factors like the mother's nutrition, mental status, and environmental factors play a very important role in the growth and development of the fetus, as well as it is also dependent upon the child's growth. And these factors can hinder the children from achieving their developmental potentials. And we know that Ayurveda aims at producing the Supraja or a healthy progeny. So next, Acharya Kashyapa has highlighted the importance of a pediatrician. So Acharya Kashyapa states that so physician should be more proficient in pathologies and their observations to initiate treatment, as the nature and the dosage of medicines depends upon the gravity as well as the severity of the disease. So, and also he highlights that so the physician who is treating a child will be always in trouble. So because of the vaya, or because of the agni, or because of the disease status in the child. So as sir was highlighting that, so this childhood period is the one where the children cannot express themselves. So it is our role to find out what is their illness and to treat accordingly. So next, coming to the applicability of the Kaumara Vritya. So here the applicability refers to so how we can get the Supraja. So various measures has been highlighted in our Samhitas, like in the preconceptional care. So to get a Supraja, all those measures has to be applied to get the Supraja. Next is the promotion of the normal physical as well as the psychological growth with the principles of Ayurveda. So we can promote the growth and development, so both physical as well as psychological, by adopting so various principles of Ayurveda like the Dinacharya, Rutucharya and all. And also the importance of breast milk. So the breast milk is very much important because it contains many of the nutrients, many of the immunoglobulins, and it helps to prevent various disorders in the children. And optimum nutrition to both the mother and the child is very much important. And also the stimulation and the timely assessment of the growth and development with the help of various samskaras which has been highlighted for the children. So these samskaras, so the application of this, so this could stimulate and we can assess timely the proper growth and development of the child. Next is the prevention and the treatment of malnutrition and the infectious disorders, where these children are more prone towards this malnutrition as well as the infectious disorders. So various concepts has been highlighted in Kashyapa Samhita, not only Kashyapa Samhita, in the other Samhitas for the prevention and the treatment of this. So we can adopt the concepts of the Lehana, concepts of the Bala Rasayana, the Rakshogna Karma, the Dhupana Karma. So all these are the preventive measures, so where we can adopt in preventing many of the disorders. And also the prevention and treatment modalities which has been explained in our Samhitas in treating the diseases related to various organ system in the children. So this is how we can apply the Kaumara Vritya in dealing with the child. So to conclude, so here the mother and the child care has been described in great detail in our Ayurveda classics. So all the basic principles of Ayurveda can be applied to deal with the problems of the maternal and the child mortality, to prevent the maternal as well as the child mortality. So we can apply the principles of Ayurveda and the rules of the Ahara, Vihara as well as Savriddha. So it can be used in tackling the various problems. Not only treating the problems, it could prevent various diseases in the children. So like what I was telling regarding the chronic illnesses or the lifestyle disorders, what we are saying today. So there is a need to take an in-depth view of the causes of these diseases. And the major changes in the lifestyle could be adopted. And so we can adopt the changes or the modification in the lifestyle with the Ayurvedic view, that is the applying the principles of the Ayurveda again. And application of the various preventive measures like the Swarna Prashana, various Lehanas, various Rasayana can be adopted in upbringing the child in a healthy way as a healthy adult. And if we see the mark distribution of this topic, so it could be asked for a short essay for 5 marks and a short answer for 3 marks. So with this, I conclude.
Thank you, Dr. Nagaratna Madam, for your beautiful session. Now I call our next speaker, Dr. Ganga. To introduce Dr. Ganga, I'll call Dr. Aisha.
Thank you so much, madam, for giving me the opportunity. And I thank all the organizers for giving me the opportunity. Thank you one and all.
Namaste. Our second speaker of the day is Dr. Ganga N. Ma'am. Dr. Ganga Ma'am is going to speak on definition and terminologies used in Kaumara Bhritya. Dr. Ganga Ma'am has completed her UG from JSS Medical College and Hospital, Mysore, PG from Sri Dharmasthala Manjunatheshwar College of Ayurveda and Hospital, Hassan. Ma'am presently working as Assistant Professor, Department of Kaumara Bhritya in Bapuji Ayurveda Medical College and Hospital, Chadakeri. Now I request Dr. Ganga Ma'am to continue the session. Hello? Hello? Ma'am, am I audible to you?
Ma'am, you unmute yourself, ma'am, and start to share the screen, ma'am.
Hello?
Dr. Nagaratna Madam, you stop sharing, ma'am. Nagaratna Madam, you stop sharing. Ganga Madam, you start sharing. Ganga Madam, you unmute yourself.
Okay. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible,
okay,
and
okay.
screen is also coming.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Start, ma'am.
Okay.
Share ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ.
Is it visible, ma'am? Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, let me thank Dr. Sarida ma'am and other organizing committee members of Department of Kaumara Bhritya, Ayurveda Mahavidyalaya, Hubli, for conducting such a prestigious initiative, Pradigna 2020, and letting me participate in that. Secondly, let me thank Dr. Basavarajappa, Principal, Bapuji Ayurveda College, Challakere, for letting me participating in this prestigious event. Seeking blessings and owing pranams to Lord Dhanvantari, my parents, gurus, especially my guide, Dr. Shailaja Yu Madam. Let me start today's session. The topic of our discussion today is definitions and terminologies used in Kaumara Bhritya. Before going on to the topic proper, we have to understand why childhood or neonatal period is considered special and unique, and why definitions and terminologies should be learned or understood in detail. So coming to the first question, that is why childhood is specific. Childhood can be broadly divided into two, the neonatal period and the childhood period. So in the neonatal period, everybody know that from the in utero condition, the baby is being coming out to the exposed to the environment, to make some adaptive changes occurring in the newborn child. So that makes the newborn life very specific and unique. And as already said by Nagaratna ma'am, it is the most newborn period is the period in which the most of the mortality of the child occurs. That is in the first 28 days, that is considered as the neonatal period, and it is during the first 28 days that most of the babies die. So that is why newborn period is considered as very unique and special. And coming to the newborn period as well as the childhood period, you can understand that rapid growth and development occurs in the childhood phase. So this makes various changes physically, mentally, as well as in social facets. So this makes the childhood more unique, and also the health problems occurring in such a neonate or such a childhood age is very unique and special. Now coming to the second question, why we have to learn about the definitions as well as the terminology. Here, the terminology is the word and the statement which defines the terminology is known as definition. Now coming to why we have to learn this, it is the need of the medical field that whenever you try to say something, it should be understood by all around the world, right? So for that purpose, we have to study definitions and terminology, which is uniformly accepted. And next thing, when you undertake a study, it can be a survey study or a clinical study or any study of that kind. When you try to convey something, it should be in a language that everybody around the world understands it. So a definition should be studied, and as well as it helps in the comparison of data in the others data in the national level as well as the international level studies. Now, in the perspective of a UG students, you have to understand regarding the definitions and terminology, because the base of the building is always should be strong. Only then you can build up a building upon that, right? So when you understand the definitions and terminologies in a proper way, then the knowledge building can be built above that. That is the purpose of studying definitions and terminologies. Now, first of all, let me tell the importance of Kaumarabhritya. As already told by Nagaratna ma'am, it is Ashtanam Tandranam Adi Muchade. Kashyapa has given the superior most and the best among Ashtangas of Ayurveda is said to be Kaumarabhritya. And then he says and compares it with the Agni. Agni is the best and superior among the Devadas because it is considered as an intermediator between humans and Devadas. It carries all what we offer to the Agni. It takes it to the Devadas. And because of that, Agni is given more importance. So likewise, Kaumarabhritya is given more importance among the Ashtangas of Ayurveda. And only if the Kaumarabhritya person care the baby in a proper way, only then the other 7 angas have an opportunity to take care of the child when he grows. So that is the importance of Kaumarabhritya. And regarding definitions of Kaumarabhritya, I hope everybody know at least 2 definitions of Kaumarabhritya. And I personally suggest that you should study at least 5 definitions of Kaumarabhritya so that it will be helpful in the examination. First definition, first and second definition, everybody know and already told by Nagaratna ma'am. So I'm not going to repeat it. Kaumarabhrityam nama Kumarabharana Datri Kshira Dosha Samshodhanartham Dushtasthanya Graha Samuttanam Cha Vyadinam Upashamanartham. That is according to Shushruta, and according to Harida, Garbobakrama Vijnanam Sudigomakramam Tada Balanam Roga Shamani Kriya Bala Chigilsadam. And you should understand here that only Harida Acharya has told Garbobakrama, that is care of the antenatal of the fetus in the antenatal period, including in the facet of Kaumarabhritya. Only Harida Acharya has told that. So you have to specifically note it down that Harida has told fetal period in the care of the Kaumarabhritya. Now coming to Chakrapani's definition, again Nagaratna ma'am has already told that, so I'm not going to repeat that. Chakrapani has commented on Shushruta Acharya's definition. Kaumarabhrityam idi Kumaranam Bridihi Dharanam Poshanancha Tasyedam idi Kaumarabhrityam. Now coming to the next 2 definition, that is the modified definition according to Acharya Raghuveer Prasad Dwivedi. He has told Balasya Prasavad Sarvam Palanam Poshanam Tada Datri Parikshanam Chaiva Stanya Vijnanam Evacha Shishunam Sarvaroganam Jnanam Tesham Nivaranam Balagraha Pariknanam Hi Edat Kaumarabhrityakam. So Balasya Prasavad Sarvam Palanam Poshanam Tada. Here, after the delivery of the child, the caring and nourishment of the child, maintenance of the health should be taken care by the Kaumarabhrityajna. Then Datri Parikshanam Chaiva Stanya Vijnanam Evacha, regarding the feeding issues, regarding the purification of the breast milk, the care of Datri or the mother, all should be taken care by the Kaumarabhrityajna. Shishunam Sarva Roganam Jnanam Tesham Nivaranam. The pediatrician should be aware of all the diseases that can occur in the child and also able to manage the conditions present in the childhood. Balagraha Pariknanam Hi Edat Kaumarabhrityakam. Here the term Balagraha can be understood as infectious diseases caused by microorganism, and you should be able to understand the clinical condition and also manage the same. So that is the modified definition given by Acharya Raghuveer Prasad Dwivedi. Now coming to Susruda's another definition given in Sutrasthana. He gives more importance to Balagraha and he conveys this definition, that is Navagrahagridi Vijnanam Skandasya cha Nishedanam Apasmara Shagunyocha Revadyasya Punaha Pradak Pudanaya Tada Andaya Shida Pudana Mandika Naigamesha Chigilsa cha Grahotpatti Sayonijaha Kaumara Tandram Ityedat Sharireshu cha Kirtidam. So in this definition, as you have already heard, he has enumerated the names of all the grahas, navagrahas, and you should, Kaumara Bhrityajna should be able to manage all these graha rogas along with Sayonijaha, all the diseases of the female genital tract, that is of the mother. Whatever conditions applicable to the mother, that also influence the child. So you have to take care of the mother also during that time. Then Sharireshu cha Kirtidam, he explains all the things which are told in Sharira Sthana of Sushruta Samhita has the comes under the facet of Kaumara Bhrityajna, that is regarding Masanumasiga Garbha Vriddhi, Garbha Vakrandi, all are topics related to Kaumara Bhritya. So I suggest at least 5 definitions should be by hearted. Now coming to definitions of Bala, before going to the definition, let me say there are few slogas whenever you study that, you will be able to reciprocate it in various essay questions or usually in any questions given. So this is that kind of a definition where you can make use of it everywhere and anywhere. So that is definition of Bala. So here, according to Charaka Samhita, he says Tatra Balam Aparipakwa Dadu, that is in immature organ and systems that occurs in the Bala. Aparipakwa Dadu. Ajada Vyanjanam. Ajada Vyanjanam is nothing but the onset of secondary sexual characters has not started. Ajada Vyanjanam. Sukumaram, you know, all babies are delicate. All the people coming under the Bala category are very delicate in nature. Aklesha Saham, they are unable to tolerate miseries and troubles. Aklesha Saham. Asambhurna Balam. Balam here can represent immunity as well as the strength. So Asambhurna Balam, that is underdeveloped immune system as well as underdeveloped strength. So Asambhurna Balam. Sleshma Dadu Prayo. If you see the Vaya category, you can see Acharyas have classified into Balya, Madhyama and Vriddhavastha. So Balya is of course Kapha predominant state, and that is why he has said Sleshma Dadu Prayo. Ashodasha Varsham. That is around 16 years of age. So these are the characteristic feature of the children who are less than 16 years of age. Then further he explains more. Vivardhamana Dadu Gunam Punaha Prayena Anavastida Sattvam Trimshat Varsha Upadishtidam. That is, Acharya Charaka considers people less than 30 years of age as Bala. So up to 16 years he has already explained. Now he is going to explain from 16 to 13 years. Now he explained Vivardhamana Dadu Gunam Punaha. So all the organs as well as the system is being matured now. Vivardhamana Dadu Gunam Punaha. Anavastida Sattvam. So instability of the mind is the characteristic feature at that age group, 16 to 30 years. So according to Acharya, less than 30 years is considered as Bala. So I hope everybody know this definition. If not, please try to understand it in detail. It will help you at many circumstances. Definition of Bala. Now coming to the next aspect, that is regarding definition of pediatrics. Before moving to the definition, let me tell definitions are always defined statements, so you cannot alter it. You cannot add something which you know into that, and you cannot delete something from that. So keeping that in mind, we have to understand each and every definition as said by Aptas. So coming to the definition of pediatrics, as all of you know, it is the branch of medicine that involves the medical care of infants, children and adolescents. In other words, it can be understood as the branch of medicine dealing with the child, development and care of the children, and the nature and treatment of diseases of children. When you analyze, you can understand all the definitions of Kaumara Bhritya also conveyed the same message as the definition of pediatrics. Now coming to the definition of neonatology, it is a subspecialty of pediatrics which deals with the medical care of newborn infants, especially the ill or the sick newborn and the premature newborn. All the care related with the neonatology is usually done in the setup of NICU, neonatal intensive care units. And that is why neonatology is given a separate definition you can easily understand the definition of neonatology. Always neonate means it will be related with the newborn babies. In other words, branch of health science dealing with disorders of the neonate, a subspecialty of pediatrics. That can be understood as the definition of neonatology. Now coming to the definition of fetus. So before fetus, let me tell what an embryo is. From the fusion of sperm and ovum, that is the product of conception, from the time of conception up to 9 weeks of life, the product of conception is known as embryo. Now we'll go to the definition of fetus. A product of conception irrespective of duration of pregnancy, which is not completely expelled or extracted from its mother. So the baby is not separated from the mother, it is inside the womb of mother, then you can call it as fetus at any age, irrespective of duration of pregnancy. So that is known as a fetus. At any age, when the baby is inside the womb of mother, unseparated, you can call it as a fetus. Now coming to the definition of live birth. Before that, we have to know what are the evidences of life. To say that a baby is alive, you need to understand that the baby should respire, that means the baby should breathe, inspiration and expiration should be present, beating of heartbeat should be there, pulsation of the umbilical cord should be there, and definitive movements of voluntary muscles should be there. Voluntary muscles here are the skeletal muscles of which the control is with ourselves. So all these features helps us understand that the baby is alive. So keeping that in mind, we'll see the definition of live birth. Complete expulsion or extraction from its mother. Expulsion here indicates the normal vaginal delivery. Extraction indicates the cesarean section. So complete expulsion and extraction from where? From the mother of what? Of a product of conception, irrespective of duration of pregnancy, which after such separation shows the evidences of life. Evidences of life, as I already told, breathing, beating of heart, pulsation of the umbilical cord, and definitive movements of the voluntary muscles. When all these evidences of life are present, then you can call it as a live birth, irrespective of the attachment of placenta and umbilical cord. So we are not bothered about the placenta and umbilical cord here. We are only related with the baby, whether it is separated from the mother or not. When such a baby is separated from the mother and shows evidences of life, it can be considered as live birth. Now coming to the next definition, that is about the neonate. As already told, a newborn baby is known as neonate. Neo means new. So a newborn baby is known as neonate, and it is up to 28 days that the baby can be called as a neonate. That is under 4 weeks of age, the baby can be called as neonate. Again, it is classified into early neonate, which is less than 7 days of age, and late neonate between 7th to 28th day of life. You can call the baby as late neonate. Now coming to the gestational age, the timeline of gestational age is displayed. Please go through that. So the definition of gestational age is nothing but it is calculated from the first day of last menstrual period. If the lady's menstrual period is regular, then you can consider it as the duration starting from the first day of last menstrual period up to date of birth of the baby. Okay, date of delivery. So that duration, that is nothing but the pregnancy duration, is known as the gestational age. Broadly, it can be classified into preterm, term, and postterm. Coming to this slide, you can easily understand. Again, preterm is divided into few other terms, that is extreme preterm when the baby is less than 28 weeks of age, very preterm where the baby is between 28 and 31 weeks of age, moderate preterm when the baby is between 32 and 36 weeks of age, gestational age, borderline preterm when the baby is between 35 to 36 weeks of gestation. In general, preterm means it indicates a baby who is less than 37 weeks of age. No doubt with the definition of gestational age, it is calculated from the first day of last menstrual period, if the menstrual period is normal, till the date of birth of the baby, and usually expressed in completed weeks. 37 weeks, 2 days, 38 weeks, 2 days. So that is the way how you express the gestational age. And then term babies, it represents a baby between 37 and 41 weeks of gestation, and postterm above 41 weeks of gestation. Now coming to the definition of birth weight, as already everybody know what is birth weight. The first recorded weight of the baby is known as birth weight, and that should be preferably in the first hour of life and in the first day of life before any postnatal weight loss happens. Here you should understand any newborn baby is coming out with a fluid, a certain amount of fluid in them. So before any postnatal loss, after birth, the child can urinate or sweating, or even the procedures like gastric lavage which we do, stomach wash which we do, we take out fluid content from the body of the baby. So before any such postnatal weight loss has happened, you have to record the weight of the baby. So the definition is first weight of a live or stillborn baby. The baby is can be live or a dead baby. So first weight of a live or a stillborn baby, which should be preferably taken in the first hour of life, and certainly during the first day of life before any postnatal weight loss has happened. So that is considered as birth weight. Now coming to classification of birth weight, again it is divided into microprimie, which is when the baby is less than 500 grams, incredibly low birth weight baby less than 750 grams. When the baby is less than 1000 grams, the baby is known as extremely low birth weight baby. Very low birth weight baby when the weight is less than 1500 grams. Low birth weight baby when the weight is less than 2500 grams. And normal average weight of the Indian infant is 2500 to 3500 grams. Now comparing birth weight as well as the gestational age, you can classify neonates under small for gestational age, appropriate for gestational age, and large for gestational age. When the birth weight is less than 10th percentile of gestational age, then you can call it as small for gestational age. Likewise, when the birth weight is more than 90th percentile for gestational age, you can call the baby as large for gestational age. So appropriate for gestational age is where the birth weight is between 10th and 90th percentile for gestational age. So this is a chart which shows the gestational age term of the baby and weight. You can go through that later. It is easily understandable in this chart. Now coming to the definition of stillborn, here also you have to keep in mind what are the evidences of life, and then here the definitive movements of involuntary muscles, that is non-striated muscles is being told, the muscles which we cannot control ourselves. So keeping that in mind, and they say two conditions for calling it as stillborn, that is gestational age should be greater than 22 weeks and the weight of the baby should be greater than 500 grams. So a product of conception that fails to show an evidence of life, that is breathing, heartbeat, pulsation of umbilical cord, or definitive movements of involuntary muscles, provided that gestational age is greater than 22 weeks and weight is greater than 500 grams. So preferably this is understood as a situation where the baby or fetus is inside the womb of mother. In such condition, when the fetus fails to show evidence of life, and if the gestational age is greater than 22 weeks and weight is greater than 500 grams, then you can call it as a stillborn baby. Now coming to fetal death, you have already understood what a fetus is. The same definition is applicable here, but only thing is the baby is dead inside the uterus. So death prior to the complete expulsion or extraction from its mother of a product of conception, irrespective of duration of pregnancy, the death being indicated by absence of any signs of life. So you have to understand that now the baby is not separated from the mother, baby is inside the uterus of the mother, and inside the uterus itself the baby being dead. In such condition, the baby fails to show signs of life, and that is considered as fetal death. And this fetal death is again classified into early fetal death, intermediate fetal death, and late fetal death based on the gestational age, fetal weight, and crown heel length. Crown heel length is nothing but the head to toe length of the baby or fetus. Now coming to the mortality rates. Mortality rates and morbidity rates, as all of you know, it is usually explained in 1000 live births. That is, in 1000 live births occur, how many babies will die or how many babies get disease. So that is how you express mortality and morbidity rates. So here neonatal mortality rate. Neonatal is the period up to 28 days of life. So neonatal mortality rate is nothing but number of death occurring in first 28 days of life per 1000 live birth. In 1000 babies, if born live, then how many babies die in the first 28 days? That is considered as neonatal mortality rate. Early neonatal mortality rate. Early neonatal period is nothing but from birth up to 7 days of life. So early neonatal mortality in the sense number of babies dying in first 7 days of life per 1000 live birth is known as ENMR. Now coming to the late mortality rate. Late is nothing but 7 to 28 days of life. In that period, how many babies die among 1000 live birth? That comes under late neonatal mortality rate. Now coming to the infant mortality rate. Infancy is nothing but from birth up to 1 year of life, the child is known as infant. Up to 1 year. So up to 1 year, how many babies die per 1000 live birth is known as infant mortality rate. And under 5 child mortality rate is how many of the children die under 5 years among 1000 live birth. So that is under 5 child mortality rate. So in the same way, morbidity rates, that is the disease rate, is also explained. How many of the baby become deceased per 1000 live birth. So in the same way, morbidity rates can also be explained. Now coming to the exam perspective. These are the few most expected questions in from this part, definitions and terminologies. So definitions of Kaumarabhrutya, as all of you know, it can be asked for a 3-mark question for your theory exam. And most of the time in Viva Voice exam, you can expect this question. You can imagine an external examiner crossing the legs and asking for you 5 definitions of Kaumarabhrutya. So keep that in mind, and please, my suggestion is to study at least 5 definitions of Kaumarabhrutya. Don't go by studying only 1 or 2 definitions. Usually ask for 3 marks in theory and for Viva Voice exam. Now coming to definition of Bala, not usually asked in theory exam, but of course, as I said, you can quote it anywhere and everywhere possible. In all answers, you can fit this definition of Bala. So most of the time, it will help you at many places. So please understand that definition and usual Viva question, but not the usual theory question. Now coming to gestational age and its classification, usually ask for 3 marks for theory aspect. Not for Viva Voice exam. Birth weight is of course asked for Viva Voice exam, not in theory exam. But in Viva Voice exam, you can expect a question regarding birth weight. Usually external examiners can ask you regarding normal birth weight, or giving an age, they will ask you to calculate the weight or tell the weight of a 2-year child or 1-month-old kid. So that can be an expected question. So birth weight is expected question in Viva Voice exam. Now coming to definition of live birth, it can be asked for 3-mark question in your theory question, not usually in Viva Voice exam. Now next one is define neonatal morbidity or mortality rate. This can be asked for 3 marks in your theory exam, not usually asked in Viva question. So this is the gist of the topic which we have discussed now, and the in view of the exam perspective. With this, I conclude myself. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ganga, for your beautiful presentation. All the questions we will take at the end, and we will have a small discussion at the end of session. Next, I'll call our next speaker. Ganga Madam, you stop your sharing the screen.
Stop.
Okay. The next speaker of the webinar is Dr. Kavya M. Dr. Kavya has completed her UG from Amrita School of Ayurveda, Kollam, Kerala, and PG from SDM Ayurveda College, Hassan. Presently, Dr. Kavya is working as assistant professor bar consultant in Department of Kaumarabhrutya, Raju Institute of Ayurveda Medical Science and Research Center, Hassan. Dr. Kavya is going to present on scientific contribution of Kashyapa Samhita in the field of Kaumarabhrutya. Now, Dr. Kavya ma'am, you can share your screen, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
ഇത് ഷെയർ ആവാമോ?
Hello participants, I have a small announcement that as today is first day, so so many technical issues are there because of network issue. So all the today's sessions of recorded will be posted in the YouTube, so that you can see in the YouTube channel or in the Facebook. Over to Kavya ma'am. Yes madam, is coming.
Ma'am, screen is visible?
It's visible again, it has been gone ma'am. Now it's
No,
coming,
ma'am.
coming, yes.
Okay, okay.
It's
Okay,
started.
ma'am.
Okay ma'am, you can start ma'am.
Visible now, ma'am? Hello?
Yes ma'am, it's visible. It's coming madam.
Okay, okay. Okay, okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the introduction, ma'am. First of all, I have to thank Dr. Sadam ma'am and all the organizers of Pradigna 2020 for giving me this opportunity. And also, I am seeking blessings from my parents, gurus, and my guide, Dr. Shailaja ma'am, for helping me throughout. And coming to my topic of presentation, my topic of presentation is specific contribution of Kashyapa Samhita to Kaumara Vritya. Coming to the introduction, as we all know that Kaumara Vritya is dealing with pediatrics, and Kashyapa Samhita is the only available source book on Kaumara Vritya, and it is also known as Buddha Jivakiya Tantra, as it was the Granthkarta of Kashyapa Samhita was Buddha Jivaka. And this our Kashyapa Samhita holds a position along with all other Samhitas, that is Sushruta Samhita, Charaka Samhita, Ashtanga and all. Next, coming to the history of Kashyapa Samhita, the Mula Upadesha of Kashyapa Samhita is Marichi Kashyapa, and the Granthkarta of Kashyapa Samhita is Buddha Jivaka. Hello? Hello? Ma'am, is it audible?
Coming madam, it's coming.
Okay, okay ma'am. So, as I have told, the Mula Upadesha of Kashyapa Samhita is Marichi Kashyapa, and the Vriddha Jivaka is the Granthkarta of Kashyapa Samhita. In the past, as we all know, that this book has been lost several times, and Anayasa Iksha is the one who collected and protected this book when it was lost. And in 1938, Pandit Hemaraja Sharma has collected the presently available Kashyapa Samhita, what we are learning now, from Nepal King's Library, and he has published this in the year 1938. Next, coming to the chapters in Kashyapa Samhita, there are almost 200 chapters in Kashyapa Samhita, and it is divided in 9 sthanas. The sthanas are Sutrasthana contains 30 chapters, Vidhanasthana contains 8 chapters, Vimanasthana contains 8 chapters, Sharirasthana 8 chapters, Indriyasthana with 12 chapters, Chikitsasthana with 13 chapters, Siddhisthana with 12 chapters, Kalpasthana with 12 chapters, and Hilasthana with 80 chapters. And the presently available Kashyapa Samhita
has only 78 chapters available. That too, it is not available in a complete form. Some of the parts are missing, and 122 chapters are missing. In that, Nidhanasthana is all the chapters are missing in Nidhanasthana, and in the available 78 chapters, almost 28 chapters are related with Kaumarabhritya and Prasuti Tantra. This is a brief introduction about Kashyapa Samhita. Next, coming to the main section, that is the contribution of Kaumarabhritya. Kaumarabhritya is one among, as we know, that it is one among the 8 branches of Ayurveda. In Kashyapa Samhita, Kaumarabhritya has given the first place among the 8 branches. This is the only Samhita where we can see Kaumarabhritya as the in the first place. And in Kashyapa Samhita, Acharya has classified children according to the financial condition of their parents as Ishwar Putra, that is the upper class, Madhyama Putra, the middle class, and Daridra Putra, that is the poor class. And he also had elaborately dealt with the Panchakarma in the children about relating to the dose, how it should be administered, and all those has been dealt with according to pediatric in Kashyapa Samhita. Next, coming to the main concepts that is contributing to Kaumarabhritya. First one is the concept of Vayobheda. In Bhaishajyopakramaniya Adhyaya of Thilasthana, Acharya had described about Vayobheda. In one of the special feature of Kashyapa Samhita is Acharya had included Garbha, that is intrauterine period of life, in Vayobheda, that is Garbha. Then Bala. Bala means till the completion of 1 year, and coming to next is Kumara, that is 1 to 16 years of age. Further, it is continued, the Vayobheda is continued as Yavana, Madhyama, and Vritha. This is the concept of Vayobheda. Next, coming to the concept of Lehana. Lehana is explained in Lehana Adhyaya Sutrasthana of Kashyapa Samhita. Acharya had devoted a separate chapter for Lehana, where this is one of the basic concept of Kaumarabhritya, as we all know, and he had dealt with the indications and contraindications of Lehana. And one of the most important procedure, as Benigol sir had already introduced about Swarnaprashna, and you all will be knowing about Swarnaprashna, and as it boosts the immunity, intellect, and all. Swarnaprashna has been explained in this chapter. The procedure and benefits has been explained. Next, Acharya had dealt with certain Lehana yogas, that is Abhayagrudha, Sambardhanagrudha, and all in this chapter. This is the concept of Lehana. Coming to the concept of Karna Vedana, almost all the Acharyas had dealt about Karna Vedana, and in Kashyapa Samhita, Acharya had devoted a separate chapter for Karna Vedana in Sutrasthana. And in this chapter, it is Acharya explains about when, how, and where to do the piercing and the complications of Karna Vedana, though as part of the chapter is incomplete. This chapter is incomplete, though Acharya had tried to explain all these things, and rest of the part is missing. Also, Acharya has prohibited less experienced Vaidya to perform Karna Vedana for children of royal families, as it will cause complications. Next, coming to the concept of Svedana. Svedana is explained in Svedadhyaya Sutrasthana of Kashyapa Samhita. We all know about adult Svedana and the procedure of doing Svedana, but this Svedana we can't practice in pediatric age group, or in especially in newborns, we can't practice the adult type of Svedana. In such cases, Acharya had explained detailedly about 8 types of Svedana: Hasta Sveda, Pradeha Sveda, Nadi Sveda, Praskara Sveda, Sangara Sveda, Upanaha Sveda, Avagaha Sveda, and Parishaya Sveda. In that, as we can't do the normal Sveda in infants, Acharya had given a solution for this, for doing Hasta Svedana in infants up to the age of 4 months. This is exclusively, this is only explained, that is Hasta Sveda is only explained by Acharya Kashyapa. Next, the concept of Aushadhi Matra. This is explained in, as I have told earlier, Lehanadhyaya Sutrasthana of Kashyapa Samhita. And here, Acharya Kashyapa describes about the drug dosage of children with respect to their age. He also explains the dose of medicine that should be given to Jada Matra, that is a newborn. Newborn should be given, that is Jada Matra, the dosage of Jada Matra is Vidanga Phala Matra, means equal to the weight of Vidanga Phala. And further, he explains that this dose should be increased every month and till the dosage reaches the weight of Amalaka fruit. And further, Acharya explains that a wise physician should not increase the dosage further when it reaches the weight of an Amalaka fruit. This is the concept of Aushadhi Matra in Kashyapa Samhita. And also in Bhaishyajopakramaneya Adhyaya of Khilasthana, Acharya had described about the dosage of Dhrita and other formulations like Churna, Kashaya and Kalka according to the age of the child. And this is explained in Bhaishyajopakramaneya Adhyaya. Next, coming to the concept of Masanumasika. Masanumasika has been explained by almost by all the acharyas has been explained. There is a slight difference comparing to other acharyas, or otherwise it is almost same. It is explained in Asamana Gotriya Sharira Adhyaya of Sharirasthana. And the Acharya starts from 3rd month of age, that is in 3rd month of intrauterine life, the changes are Praspandana, Chedayasi and Vedana Avabuddhire. Means we can feel the movement of the child and the fetus can feel the Vedana, pain. Coming to the 4th month of intrauterine life, the fetus attains sthirata and becomes niramaya. Means the fetus will not be affected by diseases and the fetus becomes stable. In the 5th month of intrauterine life, there will be mamsa shonida vriddhi. And in 6th month, there will be bala varna ojo vriddhi. 7th month, sarva dhatu anga sambhurnada. Means all the dhatus and angas will become complete. And in the 8th month, Acharya has explained that there will be exchange of ojas within the mother and the fetus. 9th month, Acharya had explained that the prasava will occur. This is the concept of Masanumasika. Next, coming to Vedanadhyaya. As in the first only, our chief guest Dr. Benigol sir had explained that the pediatric practice is little bit difficult because the child can't express what he is feeling or what he is suffering from. So for this also our Acharya Kashyapa Acharya had came up with the solution in Vedanadhyaya of Sutrasthana. Acharya Kashyapa had explained that there are certain clinical features explained in this chapter. By seeing the clinical features, we can diagnose what the baby is suffering from. And this chapter is very useful in clinical practice for a pediatrician. This is about Vedanadhyaya. Almost all the symptoms or all the Vedanas that the baby will be suffering from has been explained in this chapter. Next, coming to the concept of Balagraha. Balagraha also has been explained by almost all the acharyas. In Kashyapa Samhita, Aushadha Bheshajendriya Adhyaya, in Indriya Sana, Acharya has described about Balagraha. In this chapter, first the Acharya had described about certain the features of certain dreams. According to the dreams, that dreams will be seen by the mother or the child. According to the features of the dreams, we can identify which graha is attacked, which graha attacks the child. Then in that chapter, Acharya had described the 10 balagrahas, that is Skanda, Skandabasmara, Skandapida or Pitragraha, Pundarika, Revati, Shushka Revati, Shakuni, Mukhamandika, Putana and Nairamesha. All these grahas and the features of the dreams of when these grahas attack the child, what are the features of the dreams they will see. That has been explained in this chapter. Next in Balagraha Chikitsa Adhyaya, the Chikitsa of the grahas has been explained, not all, but some of the grahas has been explained like Revati, Putana, Andapudana, Shidapudana, Kadapudana, and Mukhamandika. Has been all these cycles of these grahas has been explained, and in this chapter Acharya adds 3 more grahas, that is Andapudana, Shidapudana, and Kadapudana. So in total we can see that in Kashyapa Samhita 13, almost 13 grahas has been explained. This is the concept of Balagraha. Then coming to the concept of Revati, means Revati in Balagraha Chikitsa Adhyaya, in the beginning of the chapter, Acharya had given a special importance to Revati Graha. That is 20 synonyms of the Revati Graha has been explained in this chapter, that is Balagraha Chikitsa Adhyaya. So a special emphasis for Revati Graha. Also the Shashti Graha has been explained as a synonym of Revati Graha. About the affliction, about the clinical features of Shashti Graha has been explained in this chapter. Next, coming to the concept of Jadaharini, this is also one of the main concepts in Kashyapa Samhita. It is explained in Revati Kalpadhyaya of Kalpasthana. In some places, this Jadaharini and Revati has been used synonymously, but this in Revati is one of Shushka Revati, means it is one of the type of Jadaharini, but there is a slight difference between Jadaharini and Revati. As Jadaharini, it mainly affects the mother or the pregnant woman. Through the pregnant woman, it will influence the child. Next is Revati. In considering Revati, it will directly affect the child. So in Jadaharini is described in Revati Kalpadhyaya, it deals with various diseases which lead to the mortality of the fetus and the neonates. Both fetus and neonates. After delivery also it may affect the child. So in this chapter it describes the story about the birth of Jadaharini, the susceptible men, women and child who will be attacked by the Jadaharini, and a detailed description of the clinical features of those who are affected by this Jadaharini has been described. Both children, women, all the clinical features has been detailedly explained by Acharya. And also next, there is a detailed classification of Jadaharini depending upon the Sadhya Sadhya has been explained in this chapter. This is the classification, detailed classification of Jadaharini. It is mainly, the main classification is Sadhya, Yapya and Asadhya. Sadhya, it is 11 in number. Yapya, it is 16 in number. And Asadhya, it is 8 in number. I think for UG, the detailed classification is not necessary, I think. But for in PG, it is, we have to learn the detailed classification of Jadaharini. And for the UG, at least you try to remember the number of Sadhya, Yapya and Asadhya Jadaharinis. And here you can see that I have mentioned that second day, third day, like that. It means that the Yakshi, it is a type of Jadaharini that will affect the child on second day, Asuri on third day, Kali fourth day, like that it will continue. This is the concept of Jadaharini in Kashyapa Samhita. Next, coming to the concept of Danta. Danta is dealt in Danta Janmika Adhyaya of Sutrasthana. Acharya had given a separate chapter for the concept of Danta, that is Danta Janmika Adhyaya. It gives a light on proper timing of teething, qualities of ruptured teeth, qualities of ideal teeth and gums. The name and the number of teeth has been described. A special emphasis has been given to Rajadanta, as he considered Rajadanta as Pavitra. If a person is not developed proper, if a child is not developed with the proper Rajadanta, then he is told to be unfit for performing the holy work. And according to Kashyapa Acharya, the ideal time for dentition is 8th month or from 8th month onwards. And also, to the end of this chapter, Acharya had detailedly explained about the Dandodhedajanya Vyadhis, that means the diseases that occur to the child during the time of dentition. These are the concepts of Danta in Kashyapa Samhita. And coming to the concept of Dhatri, explained in Dhatri Chikilsa Adhyaya of Chikilsa Sthana. Dhatri Chikilsa has been dealt in detail in this chapter, and it is said that Sukham dukkham hi balanam dhatri moolam assumption, because means the well-being of the baby is dependent on the well-being of the child. And also he explains that due to the improper diet of dhatri, the shashti graha attacks the child. Shashti graha, I have told earlier, it is a synonym for revati graha. And according to Acharya, the only woman who will not be affected by sthana kilaka is dhatri. Dhatri will not be affected by the disease sthana kilaka, that I will explain later why. Then some of the preparations for the treatment of dhatri has been explained. In that, one of the main preparations is Bella Thaila. The indications and contraindications for the use of Bella Thaila has been explained. Then Rasna Thaila, Shonaka Thaila, Gavita Thaila, Meena Thaila, and Sahakara Thaila has been explained. Meena Thaila, the use of Meena Thaila or the concept of Meena Thaila is mostly I have seen in some of the entrance questions that where we use Meena Thaila in Kaumara practice. This is I have seen in some of the entrance questions, and importance of a pediatrician has also been explained in Bharati Chikitsa Adhyaya. Next, coming to the concept of sthanya, one of the main concepts in Kaumara Vritya, it is explained in Kshirodpatti Adhyaya of Sutra Sthana. In this chapter, Kashyapa has described in detail about sthanya, including the qualities of pure sthanya, properties, and its amritavat qualities has been explained, and the features of sthanya that is vitiated by different grahas has been explained. That is like when the sthanya is or the sthanya Kshira is attacked by Shakuni, then the sthanya becomes Katu and Tikta. If it is affected by Putana Graha, then it becomes the taste becomes Swadu and Kadu. And if it is affected by Skanda and Shashti Graha, then there will be Fridosha vitiation of the sthanya. Next, in the same chapter, Acharya has described about the quality of a child consuming different types of sthanya. That is, Tailavarna sthanya, it leads to a Balavan child. Ghritavarna sthanya, the child will be Dhanavan, Mahadhanavan. Sorry, there is a typing mistake. Dhumavarna sthanya leads to Yashasvi, and Shuddha sthanya leads to Sarva Gunodida child. And also Acharya had described about, as he had already dealt about the Sthanya doshas, he had also told about the remedies for that, like Sthanya Shodhaka and Sthanya Vardhaka Aushadhis has been described. And also their administration depending upon the dosha, Satmya and Asatmya Ahara Vihara of the Dhatri has been explained. Then in this chapter, sthana kilaka or a disease affecting the breast milk has been explained. That is, Acharya explains about the nidana, samprapti, rupa, and chikitsa of sthana kilaka. And as I have told earlier, Dhatri will not be affected by sthana kilaka as she takes padhyahara and she is cared and nourished by others and lives in others' house. So Dhatri will not be affected by sthana kilaka. Then coming to the concept of samskara, it is explained in Jada Karmottaram Adhyaya of Khilastana. By the name of the chapter itself, you can understand that the samskaras after Jada Karma has been explained in this chapter. It describes about the procedure and time to be that each samskara should be administered has been explained. That is, first samskara dealt as Surya Darshana and Chandra Darshana samskara, that is during the first month, and the procedure has also been described. Nishkramana samskara, that is taking the baby out of the Sudigagara, that is during the 4th month. Upaveshana samskara during the 6th month, and also Acharya has explained about the complications of prolonged sitting of the child has been dealt. Then coming to the Bhalaprashna Samskara, this is exclusively explained in Kashyapa Samhita only. Bhalaprashna Samskara during the 6th month, and Annaprashna Samskara Acharya had explained during the 10th month. That means it coincides with the period of dentition. As Acharya explained that from 8th month onwards, dentition will start. And Shishyopanayana Samskara the procedure timing is not mentioned, and the procedure of Shishyopadayana Samskara has been explained in Shishyopakramaneya Vimana in Vimanasana of Kashyapa Samhita. This is about the not all the samskaras has been explained. Only this much samskaras has been, and also Karnavedana has also been explained in Kashyapa Samhita. Then the concept of Dhupana, a separate chapter has been given for Dhupana, the concept of Dhupana, that is Dhupa Kalpa Adhyaya of Kalpasthana. Also, he explains about the varieties of Dhupa like Dhupa, Pradidhupa, Anudhupa, and the origin of these Dhupa and the method for administration of Dhupana has been explained by Acharya in this chapter. Also, so some of the Dhupa Kalpas or different types of Dhupa, combination of different types of Dhupa has also been explained by Acharya. Next, the diseases, special diseases in the pediatric age group that is explained in Kashyapa Samhita include. First one that when we are dealing with Kaumarabhritya, the first disease that will come to our mind is Fakka Roga only, that coincides with the protein energy malnutrition, and it is explained in Fakka Chikitsa Adhyaya of Chikitsa Sthana, in exclusively explained in Kashyapa Samhita only. Here it deals with definition, classification, clinical features, and treatment of Fakka Roga. And the classification has three main classifications: Kshidaja Fakka, Garbhaja Fakka, and Vyadhija Fakka. Also, a special preparation or a special Taila has been explained by Acharya, that is Raja Taila, especially for Fakka Roga. And physiotherapy concept is explained by Acharya in this chapter, that is usage of Trichakra Fakka Radha has been explained. Next, the main skin diseases explained in Kashyapa Samhita include Arakilaka, Dadru, Amacheda. Amacheda means the cut wound. In Dvivriniya Adhyaya, Acharya has described about the Nidana, Rupa, and Chikitsa of these skin diseases. And one more, the Visarpa, how it occurs in a child, what is the clinical features in a child has been explained in Visarpa Chikitsa Adhyaya of Kilasthana. And next is Kukunaka. Kukunaka is an eye disease in the infants that is explained in Kashyapa Samhita in Kukuna Chikitsa Adhyaya Kilasthana. Nidana Samprapti, Rupa, and Chikitsa has been explained. Next, one more skin disease that is explained in Kashyapa Samhita is Charmadala in Charmadala Chikitsa Adhyaya of Kilasthana. And in this, Acharya explains that it occurs to Kshirapa only. This is a skin disorder that explains to Kshirapa only. All the Nidanas, Rupa, types, Chikitsa has all the things has been explained in Charmadala Chikitsa Adhyaya. This is also one of the main diseases in Kaumarabhritya. In exam also this may ask. And coming to the conclusion, as Kashyapa Samhita has dealt mainly with the care of the children, their disease and treatment also. It elaborates about child nutrition, development, psychology, ideal physical and mental characteristics of the child, Lehana, and various childhood samskaras has been explained. And in the current scenario of knowledge of Kaumarabhritya, holds its source to this classic, that is Kashyapa Samhita, and it would be more it would be in more depth if the text was available in a complete and original form. So as there is a lack of this, as the Samhita is incomplete, there is a lack of depth in the subject. If it was a complete, there more things would have been in our field, Kaumarabhritya field. So this is conclusion, and all this, the exam oriented 5-mark question directly it can come as contribution of Kashyapa Samhita, or as 3-mark questions like short essay also it can come. You what all I have dealt in this presentation, you can directly write this as these are the main contributions of Kashyapa Samhita in Kaumarabhritya. Thank you. Hello.
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 Thank you, Dr. Kavya ma'am. Now the
Thank you,
last
ma'am. Thank you
speaker
so
of
much.
today's session is Dr. Akshay Gurov. Sir is going to speak on Vayobheda. Dr. Akshay Gurov has completed UG from KLE's Shri BM Kankanwadi Ayurved Mahavidyalaya Belgavi, PG from SDM College of Ayurveda and Hospital Hassan. Sir is presently working as Assistant Professor, Department of Kaumarabhrita, Government Ayurved Medical College and Hospital, Shumugga. Now I request Dr. Akshay Gurov sir to continue the session.
Hello.
Hello sir. Ha sir. Sir, now you are audible,
madam.
sir. You can start.
Yeah, okay, ma'am.
Okay, sir.
First of all, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Aisha, madam, for a wonderful introduction. Respected gurus, my dear colleagues, and my dear students, let me welcome you for my presentation. Let me first congratulate and thank AMV College, especially Dr. Sarita Madam, for an initiative idea of bringing all the Kaumarabhrityas under a single roof. Definitely, Madam, this roof will be helpful for Bala Kaumarabhrityas like us to learn many things from the Mahagurus in the field of Kaumarabhrita. Thank you once again for bringing all of us in a single roof. So let me start my today's topic. That is, the topic assigned to me is Vayobheda. As already introduction has been over to me. So coming to the introduction, aging is the process of becoming older. As you know, as the age goes on, you become older. So it represents the accumulation of changes in a person over time. So there will be changes like different changes, anatomical, physiological, biochemical, different changes takes place as the age goes on. Aging in humans refers to the multidimensional process of physical, psychological, as well as social changes. In short, it is a maturation of growth and development. Okay, some dimensions of aging grows and expands over the time, while other declines. For the better understanding and study, age is classified in different manner on different basis and under different factors. But especially in Kaumarabhrita, most of them have classified it based on the type of food the child takes. So coming to the what is Vaya now. So Kala Kramena Vishesha Pekshini Shariravastha Vayo Abhidhyate. That is, Vaya is the time measurement of stages of life. So there are various structural, functional, psychological changes takes place in different stages of life. Considering all this fact, our Acharyas has classified Vaya in different ways. So coming to the very first and foremost, the father of Ayurvedic pediatrics, Acharya Kashyapa has clearly mentioned Garbhabala Kumarakyam Ithe Trividam Vayaha Yavanam Madhyamam Vruddham Metascha Trividam Punaha. So most of the Acharyas have already mentioned Vayavargikana mainly as Bala, Yuva, Vruddha. But especially in Kaumarabhrita, that too especially Acharya Kashyapa has considered Garbha as a first classification. So he considered as Garbha, then later on Bala. So Garbha starts from, that is intrauterine phase till the delivery, that is 40 weeks. So as per this definition, if you take that, baby is not a first day when it gets delivered. It is 9 months old when it is delivered, or the birth of the baby can be considered it as the baby will be of 9 months of old as of this Acharya's definition. So coming to the next part, that is Bala, that is up to the 1 year of birth, which is nothing but Shirapa. So here the baby will be totally depending upon Shira, that is milk. Next. Hello. Coming to the next type, that is Kumara, which consists from 1 year to 16 years of age. Later on, he has classified it Yavanam, Madhyamam, and Vradham. So Yavana can be considered from 17 to 34 years, Madhyama from 35 to 70 years, Vruddhavastha from more than 70 years till death. So again, he has divided Shirapa as well as Annada. So which is nothing but Shirapa is where the baby is totally depending upon breast milk or milk, which is also called as Balavastha, and Annada when the child leaves the breastfeeding and it is depending upon the solid food, which is also called as Kumaravastha. This is whole the classification of according to Acharya Kashyapa. So coming to the Maharshi Harita, he has again the special contribution of Maharshi Harita is he has classified the age according to gender wise, like for male and female. For the male, he has considered from Garbha, Bala, Shiranada, and Annada. Whereas for the female, Garbha, Bala, Shiranada, and Annada. Along with this, he has added Kumari and Rajomati. That is, Kumari from 10 years to 12 years and Rajomati from 12 years to 16 years. So one more reference of Maharshi Harita is like Panchavarsha Smruta Balaha Mugdacha Shat Sama Avadim Dwadashabdam Smruta Bala Mugdacha Syat Saptama Avadim. That is, up to 5 years. This classification is mainly for the sake of girl child. That is 5 years, up to the 5 years, the girl child is called as Bala. From 5 to 11 years, Mugda. Again from 11 to 12 years, the child is called as Bala. And from 12 to 19 years, the child is called as Mugda. Now coming to the Acharya Shushruta. Acharya Shushruta, most of the classification is clearly the Acharya Shushruta's classification is based on Satmya. That is a type of food which the child takes. That is Balya, Yavana, and Vardhakya. Again, for Balya, he has sub-classified into Shirapa, Shirannada, and Annada. Shirapa is that, again, up to the 1 year, where the child is totally depending upon the milk. Shirannada, that is 1 to 2 years, where the child is both taking milk as well as solid food. And Annada, where the maximum amount of food will be of solid. So, this all Balya is up to the 16 years of age. Coming to the Acharya Charaka's classification, Tadvayo Yatastula Bedena Trividam Balam Madhyam Jirnam Iti. So he has mainly classified as Bala, Madhya, and Jirna. So again, why he has classified like that? The saying Tatra Balam Aparipakvadhatum Ajata Venjanam Sukmaram Akleshasaham Asampurna Balam Shleshma Dhatu Praye Ashodasha Varshavi. So Acharya Charaka has clearly said that up to the age of 30, the child can be called as Balam, where again the Bala he has subdivided it to two types, that is Aparipakva Dhatu as well as Vivardhamana Dhatu. Why Aparipakva Dhatu? There is a reference of saying this, the Tatra Balam Aparipakva Dhatu, because of all the stages of immaturity, all the dhatus, doshas are in immature stage, so the child is called as Bala up to the age of 16 years. Later on, Madhyama from 30 years to 60 years of age, and Jirna from 60 years to 100 years of age. Coming to the Acharya Vagbhata, especially as per the Ashtangrudaya, clearly mentioned that Trividaha Katito Balaha Shira Anna Ubhayavartanam. So he has classified Balya, Madhyama, and Kshayam. And here Balya he has subdivided into Shiravartana, Annavartana, as well as Ubhayavartana. So Balya he has considered up to 16 years of age. Coming to the same point where Ashtanga Sangraha has clearly mentioned same as that of Ashtanga Rudaya, but here instead of Shiravartana he has mentioned Stanyavartana as a subdivision of Balya, where all the things are same. That is Balya, Madhyama, and Vruddha, where Balya is considered from up to the age of 16 years, Madhyama up to the from 16 years to 60 years, and Vruddha after 60 years of age. and subdivided from Balya, he has subdivided into Stanyavartana, Aharavartana as well as Ubhayavartana. Coming to the one more classification, that is of Arogya Kalpadruma. As per K.R. Warrior, he has classified the age into 11 categories, that is Jatamatra, Pakshatita, Atipakshatita, Traimasika, Shanmasika, Ekabda, Trayabda, Panchayanana, Ashtabda, Dashabda as well as Dwadashabda, where Jatamatra is right from the birth to the 2 weeks of age. Pakshatita is from 15 days of age to 1 month. Atipakshatita is above 4 weeks. Traimasika is above 3 months. Shanmasika is above 6 months. Ekabda is 1 year of age. Panchayanana is 5 years of old. Ashtabda is 8 years old. Dashabda is 10 years. And Dwadashabda is 12 years of old. So coming to the Dharmasara Sindhura, he has very nicely quoted like Tatra Praka Anna Prashanat Shishu Sadhya, like the child which is still weaning, till the time of weaning, the child is called as Shishu. 3 Varshat Bala Sadhya, that is Bala up to the age of 3 years. And Tatra Munja Bandhanat Kumara Sadhya, where Kumara from the age or till the Munja Bandhana, that is a ceremony. It is a child sanskara or a Bala sanskara which is performed, which will be dealt in the next classes. Okay. So till the Munja Bandhana, the child can be called as Kumara. This is according to Dharmasara Sindhura. Coming to the Parashara Smriti, very unique contribution where Parashara is only, he has explained a classification regarding only a girl child, where Ashtavarshat Bhavet Gauri, Navavarshatu Rohini, Dasa Varsha Bhavet Kanya, Atah Urdhva Rajaswala, where he has clearly mentioned till the age of 8 years, a girl child can be called as Gauri, where from the till the age of 9 years, a girl child can be called as Rohini. Till the age of 10 years, a girl child can be called as Kanya. And after the age of 10 years, the girl child can be called as Rajaswala, where the menarche starts. Okay. Coming to the Amar Kosha, he has clearly mentioned Apancha Varshat Balyam Syat Paugandam Nama Varshat, where before the age of 5 years, he has considered a child as under Bala. Then up to the age of 9 years, Pauganda. Then Ashodascha Kaishoram Yavanamcha Tatparam. Up to the age of 16 years, the child can be called as Ishoraha. And after the 16 years of age, the child can be called as Yavana. Same, again, coming to the Shabda Kalpadruma, he has almost same as that of Amara Kosha, very slight change where he has considered before the age of 5 years, instead of Bala, he has used as Kaumaraha. Then up to the 10 years, Paugandaha. Up to 15 years, Kishoraha. After 16 years, Yauvana, that is youth. Coming to one more classification according to Sharangadhara Samhita, where he has mentioned 10 varieties or the 10 classification of child, that is Balyam, Vraddir, Shavi Medaha, Tvagdusti, Shukra Vikramaho, Buddhihi Karmendriyaha, Cheto, Jivitam, Dashet, Prased, where he has mentioned how there will be the loss of qualities according to the age, where he has mentioned from 0 to 10 years, there will be Balyahani. Matlab, once you cross the 10 years, you have lost the Balya. Then from 10 to 20 years, once the 20 years finished, you lose Vriddhi Hani. There will be Vriddhi Hani. Right from 20 to 30 years. That is, once you complete 30 years, you will lose Chavi, that is complexion. From 30 to 40 years, that is, you lose Meda, that is intelligence. Right from 40 to 50, that is Tvachanasha. Once, if you cross 50 to 60 years, there will be problem with Drushti. 60 to 70 years, Shukra. 70 to 80 years Vikrama, 80 to 90 years Buddhi, 90 to 100 years Karmendriya, that is loss of motor function. This is according to the Sharangadhara Samhita. Now, this finishes all about the Ayurvedic aspect, and coming to the modern classification, where they have classified under prenatal, perinatal, postnatal, school going, as well as adolescent, where prenatal period can be considered under again subheadings like OM, right from the 0 day to the 14 days, that is up to the time of fertilization can be considered under OM. And embryo is nothing but it can be called after 14th day to 9th week of fertilization. And next comes fetus, where 9th week of gestation up to the birth. And perinatal period can be considered from 28 weeks of gestation to 1 week after delivery. Now coming to the postnatal period, under that it has been subdivided into early neonate, that is up to 1 week after the birth, neonate, that is up to 28 days after the birth, infancy, that is up to 1 year, toddler, that is 1 to 3 years, preschool, that is from 3 to 6 years. This is all about postnatal period. Coming to the school going age, that is for the boys, again it has been considered 6 to 12 years as a school going period, and for girls 6 to 10 years. Coming to the adolescent, again adolescent has been subdivided into pre-pubescent, pubescent, as well as post-pubescent, where in pre-pubescent boys can be considered under 12 to 14 years, girls 10 to 12 years. Pubescent, that is boys 14 to 16 years, girls 12 to 14 years. Post-pubescent, that is boys 16 to 20 years and girls 14 to 18 years. This is all about modern classification of age. Now, what is the importance of knowing age? See, very first and foremost is to calculate the dose of medicine in children. Very important is to assess the developmental condition of child according to the milestones, that is different milestones to be considered in order to check whether the child is having a proper milestones as per the age for performing samskaras, that is bala samskaras. For the purpose of immunization, again vaccination plays very important. Okay, to assess the various physiological development of baby. Also related with the onset of disease, like some diseases are common in some ages, like example neonatal jaundice, consider like example dantodbhava janya vyadhis. So these are the different diseases where it is only during the specific period of time. To know all this, age is very important. Related with the treatment principle based on the Shodhana. Okay, so because all the Shodhana therapies are not indicated in children, so to know all these things, there is very much important to know the age factor of a child. Now coming to the conclusion, as you all know, child is a backbone or a pillar of a nation. So he or she should be cared or nurtured very clearly. So Kaumara Bhrutya emphasize the importance of child care, which has to be started at the time of pregnancy or even before that, that is before the time of or before the conception. So right from the before the conception itself, the care of a child starts. For the proper growth and development of a child, many factors are to be associated, like food, proper nutrition, proper care in disease as well as in different conditions. By knowing the proper classification of age, we can easily give proper care as well as support for various age groups of children as per their needs. So this is all about Vayobheda in short, whichever it is needed for the exam point of view. So coming to the point of mass distribution, most of the time it is asked for 5 marks or 3 marks. Like they may ask in detail, explain in detail about Vayobheda according to Ayurveda as well as modern. They may ask, or specifically if they ask, they may ask explain in detail about Kashyapa's age Vayobheda for 3 marks. Even though it has been not asked never in the examination for long essay, but there are probabilities of asking this question, this point for a long essay even. So kindly be prepared with this. Thank you. Thanks once again, organizers, AME College, especially Sarita Madam, as well as my gurus right from Dr. Aziz sir, then during my post-graduation, Dr. Shailaja Madam, Reena Madam, and Nayan sir. Thank you once again for your valuable support.
Thank you, Dr. Akshay, for your nice presentation. Now we have a just discussion over the today's topic. Participant, they can unmute themselves, and if any queries or any suggestions, they can put in front of the session. Participants, they can unmute themselves. If any suggestions, any questions regarding the today's topics, they can share. ಎಲ್ಲಾರನ್ನು ತೋರಿಸ್ರಿ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಸಿಪೆಂಟ್ ಇಷ್ಟೇ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಸುಮಾರು ಇದ್ದಾರಲ್ಲ.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello. Huh?
Ma'am, I had a question regarding the topic named Introduction to Kashyapa Samhita.
Huh?
It is mentioned in the development during 4th month, ma'am, as Niramaya according to Kashyapa. So what is the significance of that, ma'am?
Sorry, repeat once again.
Ma'am, during month-wise development of a fetus, in the 4th month, it is mentioned as Niramaya, that is the fetus is not afflicted with any diseases.
So
what is
now
the significance
I got
of
your
that
point.
Point, ma'am?
Yes. Now I got your point. So it's Niramaya means usually at the 4th month, the Sthiratata of Garbha is attained. So in that regard, it is Niramaya. It's not like that it is totally not affecting by any diseases. Usually at the 4th month, the Garbha will be getting Sthirata. So in that regarding, it is told as Niramaya. Means thereafter, usually we don't have more complications. Means the Sthirata of the Garbha means that time from that time onwards, you can announce your pregnancy. Like that, I think so.
Also in Kashyapa had described that in 4th month only the Sthirata of Garbha will attain in 4th month only, ma'am. So maybe because of that only Acharya had told that about Niramaya.
Ama means it's again a roga only, or uncertainty is there. So after 4th month, usually uncertainty chances are very less. That is the reason.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Dr. Sharda ma'am, Dr. Shailaja ma'am, Shweta ma'am, if they want to share their any experiences regarding this today's topic, please share, ma'am. I think madam are not getting the correct network. Okay, I think today we can end today's session. So I thank once again from the Department of Kaumara Bhritya and Ayurveda Mahavidyalaya Hubballi to today's speaker, very young and energetic speakers, because they have waited at least for 4 hours. Today I am very much thankful to them, and they have delivered very nice, also very important things they have delivered. If anybody has any questions in the Facebook or YouTube, they can post the questions later also. And today's, I think the network issues are there. So all the recorded videos will be posted to the YouTube. From 7 p.m. you can see in the YouTube also. Thank you and one and all. So now I'll end the session.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Shailaja ma'am, I think madam is came now only. Ma'am, unmute yourself, ma'am. Ma'am, not able to hear, ma'am. Ma'am, unmute yourself, ma'am.
Now I'm unmuted.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, thank you, ma'am.
Congratulations to Ayurveda Mahavidyalaya Hubballi for conducting such a wonderful webinar for all UG students. Congratulations.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so
Okay,
tomorrow I will watch the program and I will give the comment also.
Okay,
Okay.
ma'am. Okay,
I was totally busy.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. No issues, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay,
So tomorrow, and all the best for all your ventures.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
And all the best for presenters also.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Continue.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank to everyone. Now I'll going to end the session. Thank you one and all.